Yeah, Paula Abdul ain't shit now. One thing, Paula Abdul ain't shit. Mommy, that girl is singing off key on the record.
Yeah, but the people buy it, right?
Because she got a image that we all know ain't really true. I don't want to be in the business that ain't true. I don't want to be in it like that. What they think is today, and next week it'll be something
right,
else.
And that's what you gotta do is stick with what you know is good for you.
Right.
And never mind all that other shit, Janet Jackson shit. Let the bitch have it.
This we're gonna have to edit.
No, wait a minute.
Oh, why you gotta...
Let me let y'all know who that was. First of all, you gotta...
Get out of here, bro.
That bitch.
Sissy Houston talking, folks. Been in this business for over 30 years.
That's right. You got class. You can sing around the world. You gotta do that. Don't let nobody change you. Never.
Never know.
See what the little
Never
ones have to
change,
say.
baby. Stay the same. You're beautiful. Love you.
Yo, yo, yo! Welcome to the Black Sublime podcast. This is your host. 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 A White. Oh, I missed y'all. I missed being here. I missed talking shit. I missed this whole thing. You know, I had the flu. I'm gonna just tell y'all what it is. I had the flu, and you know, I never had the flu before in my life. I never had the flu. Like, I never had it as a kid. I never had it. I just never had it. So, I mean, part of me didn't think it was going to take me out like that. Like, part of me thought, you know, I know it's real, but it's fine. Like, I'll be good. I was laid out for a week, like a solid week, and it wasn't light. Like, I couldn't do anything. I could not do anything for a week, and it wasn't like I could even be productive at home. I could do things. I was barely conscious. Like, I was barely conscious for a week. It was not ideal. It was really 0 out of 10. Don't recommend for anybody. Stay healthy, vaccinate, or if you know, I would just do it. Because I can't. I'm still catching up in a lot of ways to that. I'm still catching up. Because when I didn't do anything for a week, I'm such a busy person. There's so many things that rely on my effort. I am so behind on it. Care for others, care for myself, my own, you know, projects, the podcast, the music, everything else. I'm whew. But we're here now. We're here now. I'm excited to talk to you. I'm excited to be here. So what I want to talk about today, actually, before I go into that, I'll just briefly talk about how I brought it in the episode. You know, I've had this clip for a minute. It's a clip that always makes me laugh, from Whitney Houston talking to her mom, Sissy Houston, with Robin, her longtime best friend, or what have you, girl. You know, the T is the T with the T, you know. But about Paula Abdul and Janet Jackson. But it was really, when I listened to that, it's really, I mean, it's funny as fuck, because I love when singers talk their shit. I love when a singer is like, no, I listen to singers. I want to hear people sing. You know, I feel like that. And I'm not even claiming to be the best singer out here, but I really want singers to sing, right? And I want, you know, I like that. I like that still. But her mom, Sissy, was trying to really speak life into her and say that you have everything. You have the talent, you have class, you can really sing. Don't feel pressure to conform to what the other girls are giving. You don't need any of that. Stay true to yourself. And for me, I've always loved that quote. I love that clip because Whitney Houston needed that encouragement. And granted, like, everybody needs encouragement. But Whitney Houston needed to be reminded that she had everything she needed, that she had a class act, a true talent. She needed to be reminded to remain authentic and true to who she was and to not conform to the business. It's crazy. It's crazy to me. It's like, if she needed that, we should not feel like we're too good to get that reminder because, yeah. Yeah. No shade to us, but we all have our beautiful talents. We all have our sort of omega level gift. But Whitney was one of the greatest to ever do it. So, don't be too hard on yourself. If you need a reminder to stay true to you and to be authentic to yourself. What I want to talk about today is a really convoluted topic, so I'm going to try my best to not get in my own head and, be weird on the mic. But I want to talk about and I'll probably do it in parts, like I did the other episodes, which I liked. I actually liked the part. So if y'all like it, you let me know. If I feel like the people that listened liked the sort of smaller episode and tackling the large topics in parts. But I could be wrong, so it is what it is. I wanted to talk about magic. I want to talk about mythology in particular. I want to talk about how we use magic and mythology to survive this world, to cope with the reality, the various deprivation, violences, whatever we face, to really to survive. I want to talk about it because I think that mythology and magic are useful, and I'm not shitting on it. My goal is not to shit on or criticize, really. My goal is to encourage precision. My goal is to encourage precision on the use or regarding the use of mythology and magic, and to offer something that is less magical, less mystical, that I believe has the same effect, or at least could have the same ground level foundational effect. And by that I mean can do the necessary and first work that we have to do in order to be whole and full. But in order to get there, I gotta go back. I gotta kind of start with a concept, or revamp or revisit a concept of mystery and the relationship between something like mystery and something like power. Mythology in general is used to offer explanations. Well, before I say that, here's what I'll say. I will say mythology in general is used to support our personal sense of power, or our sense of personal power. That's the purpose of mythology. A lot of times people will say mythology is offering, just trying to explain the inexplicable, which is true, but understanding is really, and this, I'm gonna try to just brush over epistemology here, right? But understanding is establishing a mental representation of something that is not mental in origin, and it allowed that representation we get. So I'm understanding an apple. I create a representation of an apple in my mind, and I'm able now to manipulate that apple. I'm able to think about reconfiguring the apple, baking the apple, cutting the apple, the different kinds of apples that, I'm able to manipulate it. That ability to manipulate it is a sense of personal power. It's a sense of agency. It's giving, I have an ability to interact with this apple in a way that I can feel myself in. I can feel a sense of self in my interaction with this apple. And that is generally understanding, right? I mean, in general, that is understanding. When we talk about a basic non-spiritual understanding. So when you have a myth, when you use a mythology to understand or to offer an explanation for something, a justification for something, it is an attempt to, enhance your personal power in relation to that thing. And when I say power, I don't mean domination. Right? But it is important to know that obviously in the history, in relation to, white supremacist patriarchy, etc., the European cultural history, the tradition of European thought, that power does mean domination over. So you could extend this into some kind of weird political epistemological conversation where it's like, the way we create mental representations through the European methodology of learning, or whatever, is inherently one that encourages or supports domination. You can make the, and people have done that. There's the whole there's like pedagogy of the oppressed. There's texts around that, but that's not what we're doing today. But I just wanted to mention it because it needed, it was right there. I couldn't let it go. So you have this desire to understand, and this use of mythology to create this sense of understanding. And then here comes something like mystery, something that says there are things that are unknowable. There is a concept of the unknowable, and the closest we're going to get to understanding the unknowable is through the representation of mystery. This is what it is. Like, this is the closest we're going to get. And if you need to have a sense of power by abolishing, or if your approach to acquiring power is abolishing mystery, I mean, you need to find another way to feel powerful, right? So there are things that can't be known fully. There are elements that can't be known. For me personally, and this is going to be a little bit of a tangent, but it's really short, and it's not that big of a tangent. That's one of the things I got out of theology and Christianity and just relationship with God is that I have to be okay with mystery. Now, the thing about it is God supplants him. So God replaces mystery in this way, right? Like, in this way, God offers justification for mystery. So God and mystery, are a similar concept, but God erases mystery in some way. I mean, I'm not going to go into what I think about that for real, but there is a relationship between God and mystery that's not obvious, or that's not simple. But I can say that I learned to be okay with, God's timing, and and the idea that I'm not gonna understand blah 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 through my relationship with the church as a young person. But the category of things that can't be known fully is vast. And some of that, if we can accept that mystery, we become closer to something like a humanitarian ethic, something that is like pro-social, some standard of care and relation to each other that is subversive, that challenges something like domination, right? We approach something like the way I think love works, right? And I'm gonna just quickly explain that, and then I'm gonna move the fuck on because we got a lot to talk about. Human beings are in that category of the unknowable. The unknowable, like in terms of we cannot fully know human beings. And it's not that, and probably more correct to say that human beings are not to be fully known. Whether or not we can, that's not, the ability might not be relevant. But the nature of a human life and mind is not to be known fully. So that means in relationship, if I accept that there's mystery to my partner, then I accept that this person may evolve and grow in ways that are not obvious to me now. I accept that I cannot control or predict the way this person is going to change. And as somebody if I love my partner, love does not mean control and dominate my partner such that I can predict every way that person will change. Love is accepting that I will accept them and choose them anyway, despite the mystery, despite the fact that they might change in a way that I cannot control or predict. I have to seek relationship and community with this person, even though I do not know them fully. Even though I do not know every way that they will be forever. That mystery there I have to accept and embrace. And yes, it might make me afraid. It might trigger my fear of abandonment. It might trigger me in ways. But if I'm seeking to commune with someone in a way that is not to control them, if I'm not using this relationship to support my ego, then I have to embrace that mystery. That also means accepting that the mental representation that I've created for them in my mind might be false. This like facsimile I made in order to feel like I understand, in order to feel like I can exercise or realize my will in this reality, extend my will into this reality, might be wrong. It might expire. It might not. It might just be inaccurate or imprecise. And beyond that, so accepting mystery. So when I say that I feel that accepting mystery is key political work. It's important in the way we interact with each other. I'm talking about accepting each other's mystery and not seeking to control and predict. And this is a radical shift because something capitalism, I always say industrial capitalism, which I don't think I've seen a lot. I think I have seen this phrase maybe once or twice before. I'm not interacted with many people that connect industry and capitalism in the way that I do. I know there's obviously a racial capitalism. Like there's a lot of talk, I mean, texting about this, so I don't want to do that. But there is, for me, as an artist, I think about industry. And that's kind of why I use the Whitney quote. Because when you study microeconomics, I think it's micro and macro, like whatever the 101, whatever the first one they teach. I think it's micro, actually. There is this concept of like a widget, right? Like, when you do like these thought experiments or these problem sets or whatever, like widgets being the thing that is made. Like a factory creates 10 widgets, whatever. And there's this idea that the widgets are, perfectly replaceable. You can just replace the widget with another widget. If you have the same technology, the same information, the value of the widgets, they're indistinguishable. They're just widgets. That's what, And I'm like, successful industry requires that each thing made in the assembly line is indistinguishable from one another, and that the factory can create this thing no matter what. At the same time, no matter what. That is successful industry under this regime. So when you put human beings through this, an artist should be able to make the same caliber of song, of painting, of whatever, no matter what. You're denying the mystery of this human being. And you're abusing them, right? Like, then here's where the violence comes in. The exploitation comes in. When you're saying, I do not care what the circumstances are, you are to produce this. And then you push that. This is why they say this plantation was the first factory. This kind of, you make this no matter what. I don't care. I need 10 widgets. I don't care who's doing it. I don't care how it's done. I don't care what your limitations are. I do not care about the things that make you human. I don't care about any of that. You will make this thing. So when I say, when I bring up industrial capitalism in this way, it's like mystery challenges that. And if you create an ethics around mystery, you can't have something like that. So moving beyond, mystery, understanding the politics of it all, I wanted to talk about mystery. I wanted to talk about mythology. Sometimes when we are using mythology to cope, we are using it in a way to reconfigure ourselves, to give each other hope, to counter the philosophy or the status quo, the dominant culture. And we're doing it for our mental well-being. We're doing it for survival. We're doing it also because we need to change ourselves to have a chance to have a chance to live in a world that we want. So we create myths, or we lean into old myths. And an example that I'll start with. Well, okay, so the form of this will be, I'm going to talk about the direct problems with this myth, and I'll talk about the indirect problems or the secondary problems with this myth. The direct problem with the myth. So I'll identify the myth, and then I'll say, like, maybe I should say primary versus secondary problem with the myth. An example would be the mythology of black male bodies. I've spoken about this, I speak about this all the time, and I hate to belabor it, but I interact with it all the time. So it's something that, and it's interesting because I don't lift crazy. I'm not like a super lifter, but I do watch some powerlifting videos. I do try to have an interesting lifting program, like going to the gym or whatever. And even in powerlifting videos, you'll hear a comment, a stray comment here and there. It'll be like, well, when discussing if a powerlifter is natty, they'll be like, oh, they'll throw in race in there. And they'll be like, oh, I mean, I believe he's natural because he's black. And he's, there's this belief that black men can put on muscle faster, can achieve a more aesthetic look due to genetics, that, they can achieve a look that may be associated with being enhanced through, obviously, whatever the people do to enhance, like the steroids or whatever. And it's like, the myth is everywhere. Black men are somehow able to put on muscle faster, able to withstand discomfort and pain at higher amounts, able to, are more suitable for physical labor, right? Because that's what that translates to, when you think about that. The virility, the penis size, it's like all of this is there, that myth. So then you hear black men, particularly cis black men of all sexualities, because I do see it, the people in love with masculinity, leaning into this belief about the strong black man. He should, I was watching this video. It was a terrible video. So don't watch it. Don't find it. It was this biracial man talking to this white girl about how white women want the 6'3" big dick black man, but they don't want anything that comes with that. And the white girl was like, well, why don't you date black women then? And that was, she did her big one. She did her big one. But what was interesting to me, all of it was crazy to me. But in the beginning, the person that he created, in the example he chose, this idea, this black man he invented just for the purpose of the thought experiment, was this tall, muscular, stereotypal black man. And then he did the voice and everything. Like, he really played into the mythology of this is what a black man is. And it's like, well, this, let me not say what I'm thinking. I'll say that, that's a mythology. This is a myth. This is a figure of lore. And yes, it exists in some ways, but lifting this up as the archetype of black man is crazy. I do get, though, why someone would fall in love with that mythology, because it identifies these traits, these fundamental traits that sell a version of supremacy and that can support a logic of respect and admiration. It can say that these black men are deserving of respect because of this set of traits. And when you are looking around to be respected in your everyday life, and you're not getting that sense of dignity from your environment, a belief system or a mythology or whatever that justifies respect you buy into. But the dark side, so this is the primary issue with the mythology, is that most mythologies created in this world are designed to work against us, even if they look like they work for us at the beginning. So you have this mythology of the virile and whatever black man, but on the other end of that, you have the slave, the suitable for physical labor, unsophisticated, breeding thing. You see it also with something like, black girl magic, which I do believe is a reconfiguration. It's an attempt to reconfigure ourselves, women, but the community, to believe in rarefied magical traits, about women to justify the unquestioned, irrevocable respect that they deserve. We know it's a fact that women deserve respect, but when black women are looking around and not getting it, it's like we almost need to justify it, not just to the world, but to themselves, right? Like, a reminder to you, you deserve the world. You deserve everything that you want. Because this world is not going to make you feel this way. I'm going to make something like Black Girl Magic to make you feel like that. To make you feel capable of getting whatever you want. And that's a great noble cause and a great justification. We love that. But on the other side of that, there's the strong black woman trope. When you start believing in magical abilities and rarefied things, capabilities, then it's like it's on the same gradient as something like a strong black woman. I say that's the same thing because it's not. I think a lot of people have reconfigured Black Girl Magic to like the soft life and stuff, and encouraging vulnerability. And I love that. I love the development of that ethos. It did evolve with practice. I love the practice though. But there is the strong black woman archetype that's like they don't need help. They can tackle everything. They can funnel their emotion in a way that's productive and whatever. And it's like we know that this concept leads to poor health outcomes for black women. Like we know it doesn't work. Like we know the strong black woman archetype is like dangerous. We know that, and the black women that live it know it best. But we hold on to it in a way. We're not able to balance as a community the mythologies. The mythologies start to conflict, start to indirectly or directly support these other mythologies that exist against our, that exist to oppress us. One that I talked to someone else about recently is the example of like a female intuition, right? Like this, and there's a queer one too that I'm gonna end this with, but this magic of the female intuition, and it's like it's funny because I do when I interact with feminine people, even the femininity within myself. I do. It's tempting to be like, I do know shit. Like, and it does feel like my femininity is like why I know shit. Like, and then when I interact with women, like I be like, women be knowing, but over time, what I realized is that being oppressed as a feminine being, when you are oppressed in this way, you have to be more perceptive. So you might not know why you know. Logically, when you sit and try to think like, how did I know this? How, whatever. It's that you have been paying more attention to every single thing in your surrounding, and that is leading you to knowledge. It's leading you to knowledge because as an oppressed person, you have to pay attention to everything. And you don't even know you're paying more attention to everything. You don't even know your attention is more dispersed, is more, it's everywhere because you're conditioned as an oppressed person, especially if you're oppressed according to gender. You're conditioned to have to attend to more things. So of course you know shit. Of course you pick up on little changes. Little differences, you pick up on it because you have been socialized to have to pick up on it. That is the nature of the people. The oppressors don't know shit. The oppressors they don't have to attend to everything. They don't have to, So you start to. I watched this video. I think this was an Indian girl. I think she was Indian. And I think she was like I don't know what school she was in. I think it was like university. I don't know. But she was saying that when she was in university and she made black friends, if black people as a community didn't like somebody, she knew that they were bad. So she didn't trust them. She's like, if black people don't like them, I don't fuck with them. Because black people would be knowing. And it's like, black people know because black people as an oppressed class have to attend to more things. We have to attend to every detail around a person's behavior. So when someone starts acting funny, you can see it faster, and you're like, nah, like no. And then if everybody sees it, you're definitely not doing it. So what feels like intuition, what feels like a magical trait, is actually a byproduct of being oppressed. And then when you create the mythology of something like I know shit magically, you start to then be taken advantage of, where people don't think they have to tell you shit. People don't honor you with respect and honesty and offering truth without you having to probe and ask and push and pull things out of them, right? Because you have you bought into this mythology of you just knowing shit. So now niggas just think you know shit. Right, and they pull these games because they think you will either lie to yourself to believe in them, or you will eventually figure out the truth whether or not they say it. No, I don't know shit. Tell me everything. You know what I mean? And the last one I'll leave us with is, there are a bunch of queer ones that I interact with, but one I would want to mention is just the wisdom of social interaction. I feel like social and romantic interaction, the wisdom of, governing how we appear to others. That covers fashion, aesthetics, the giving love advice, giving friendship. There are so many queer people on this earth that are giving, the magical queer sidekick, giving the straight man or the straight woman love advice despite them being single forever, despite them not having a rich love life, because as a queer person, love can be difficult to come by. Because, when you watch a movie and it's set in this small town or this weird high school or whatever, and the queer best friend is like giving the straight advice, and it's like, girl, there are no gay people here. How am I giving you advice? I'm giving you advice and you're listening to it, but honey, like, sis, I'm not dating. So this advice is not coming from experience, because the only thing I have is like AOL chat rooms and like whatever, you know what I mean? Like, this is not like, I don't have love. So why are you asking me? You think I just know. As a queer person, I just know how to make you look good. I just know the sort of ins and outs of love and social, and, no. And this idea, when we lean into this, we often hide the fact that a lot of queer people deal with insecurities about how they look, loneliness, lovelessness. So yeah, there's the archetype of the ever-friendly, ever-energized, beautiful, or at least aesthetically, has ownership over their aesthetic, can give you some love advice down. There's that archetype of that queer person. But then there's the truth is that person goes home and has nobody, or has nothing, or feels like they have no one or whatever. and this is not just a man thing. I mean, queer women deal with this as well. I don't feel like the queer female archetype is like this super aesthetic thing that I just described. But there's this, toughness ascribed to queer women. Like, they don't need anything. Like, meanwhile, queer women are also dealing with loneliness. Queer women are dealing with loneliness in part because the queer community in general struggles with reproducing the paradigms of straight people. So the masculinity in the lesbian community is running rampant and crazy over there too. It's just not in a male body. I will stop us here. For the selection, my ass is making this church now. Because of course, I'm gonna do my everything. I did the background vocals the other day. I'm gonna do the recorded version now. I mentioned this the other time I did it. I liked what I tried to do. My favorite part of this recording is the beginning of the second verse. I love the way we did that guitar. It kind of reminded me, it was Real Killers inspired. And we did, I like what we went for. I'll just say that when I perform it live, I don't perform it this way. I don't feel like we exactly nailed what I wanted. Partly because I didn't have the language. This was the first thing I've ever recorded live with. So whatever. But yes, this is my everything. The title track from my first EP. Love you all.
I'm always fearful when I fall in love, afraid to hold you too close to my chest and have your heartbeat too softly against mine, and have our breath become one alive, our lives too closely. What if you decide to walk away? What am I to be, and who am I to blame? But silly old me who foolishly changed love. Regrettably, I used to stand tall. Now I'm on my knees, unraveling, hoping you'll see that I'm worthy for you to stay with me. The tears will my hands, my soul, my everything. Ooh, the light of the light. How can you say to me that you don't want to be my everything? Now I'm here recounting all the lies I told myself to let you inside. How I've disarmed my soul to let you come and take control and lay claim to who I was. How said I would never find anyone to love me, that my destiny was to be lonely and you. I didn't make a change, I'd have no one to blame, but silly old me who foolishly chased love. Regrettably, I used to stand tall. Now I'm on my knees, unraveling, hoping you'll see that I'm worthy for you to stay with me. My tears, my love, my hands, my soul, my everything. Ooh, the light everything.